Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? 2, 1, 2. Is that any better, anybody? I've got no one here yet.
Is that the second one? Oh.
Yeah, hopefully this time it works when she rocks up. This is the longest part, is getting it going. Says we got 2 viewers. Is there any of them, Rosalie? No, you got Samantha. Hello, Samantha. Hello, Mikey. Just waiting on Rosalie again. I've sent her an invite. You can hear us now, Mikey? Good man, good man. Just need Rosalie to make herself known now. Hello, William, Andy. Already said hello to Mikey and Samantha. Yes. Any minute now. I've sent her invites. I will bear with me. I'll send her a message quick telling her to join the new live.
Hello.
What about now? Does that work? Nah. Bollocks. I wonder what's going on there. There's got to be a bug with whatever's going on. Take it no one can hear me at all. Oh. Working on sound issues. Now let's see if that works. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, we got each other now, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, no, I have this problem usually with when guests come on. I was getting worried then. I thought we weren't going to have Chinwag Wednesday. How you doing, Rosalie? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Living the dream, as you know yourself. So yeah, obviously started doing Chinwag Wednesday just so we could get to know our followers a bit, like a bit of our backgrounds and what people's worries are and concerns are, and what direction we need to go, and this, that, and the other. So if I was just going to start by asking you a few questions, like tell us a bit about yourself, how you know. How long have you been in Basingstoke and stuff like that?
Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't born in Basingstoke. I was born up in Hertfordshire. But I moved down here when I was a couple of months old. My dad started working at Lasham, and then my brother was born here. But then we moved abroad because my dad's an aircraft engineer. So we lived in a few other countries. I wanted to get some photos and get my yearbook actually from my schools, but I can't find them.
Oh, what a nightmare!
Just to show you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it was very similar with my daughter. I went when I came back to England. I moved up there, and then same thing. My daughter was born up there, and when she was a few months old, we came back down to live with in Basingstoke. 'Cause my dad and my brother lived here, and then when my mum retired, she moved back.
So you've had like an on and off relationship with Basingstoke all of your life, then, it's fair to say.
Yeah, so I've been back here for 21 years now.
21 years, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
So what era did you grow up in Basingstoke? What was
Bibles, Cranbourne area.
Yeah, so what kind of generation were you? An 80s baby, 90s?
I was born in the 70s.
Yeah. Nice.
So brought up 80s.
Yeah, nice, nice. So I'd say you've probably seen a big demographic change in Basingstoke, in like, especially the fact that you've gone away and come back again, and you know, obviously you've been back a long time now, but yeah,
I think I've seen it a lot more since I've been back here, to be honest. So when we first moved here, we lived in Winchester Road, and we had I can't say that word, but he was Pakistani, owned the shop across the road. Got on with him great. I was friends with her daughter, everything. So yeah, but you know, and I remember when I was a kid, you'd have sort of one or two kids in the class that were not white. But then when I moved abroad, I became the only white kid in the class, maybe one or two. So I wanted to kind of show you photos of, but I can't find them. I have to show you another time. And so that's one of the things I really wanted to sort of, you know, let you guys all know that, you know, I think a lot of people have been brought up haven't left Basingstoke or have only lived in Britain, and I've only kind of got the perspective from here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, it's good you've got that experience in other countries, and I could only imagine that was a big culture shock going to another country.
It was big time. It like, I mean, my parents split up when we were abroad, and one of the things about expats, it is a massive culture shock, and a lot of couples will split up when they go, you know, when they go abroad, because can be like really stressful. It takes you a good few months. Like for example, my maths teacher came over from England, and like in the first month, she was just like, no, I can't do this. She wanted to resign. They said, well, you've got to work out, you know. And in 3 months that she was working out, she kind of got used to it, and then, you know, and then wanted to stay, and they were like, nope, you've already let us down. So they let her go back. But yeah, we used to find that, you know, certain people, we'd sort of go from, you'd have sort of communities that would go from British communities go from one country to another.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think you can't really, because another place I lived was Spain as well. That's where my daughter was made, actually. And yeah, you can see what it's like you can understand what it's like for them. Do you know what I mean? Having our cultures in, you know, like we'd have like, there'll be like one woman, we knew of her because you know of everyone in these small places. And she shouted at her kids, and like Spanish couldn't understand it, and they hated us like going out, getting drunk, things like that, because that was so different to their culture, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was yeah, I think, you know, and I think sort of like being on both ends of it, you know, I can kind of I kind of feel like I've got a good understanding of it, you know, and
So
can
what
really
did
sort of empathise.
so when you went out and went to school in these different countries, who was your guardian, or was it both of your parents, or was it your
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
both?
So first place we moved to was Bahamas,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was nice. Got to a bit. My mum didn't work there, but we was only there for about 5 months because it was so expensive. Um, yeah, and one thing I wanted to say, like, yeah, I was one or two white kids in my class, and but they would stand up and they would sing the national anthem every morning in the classroom.
Oh wow. So
Yeah,
their cultures are very, would you say, patriotic, or at least if you wouldn't use the word patriotic, but they loved and were proud of their country.
yeah, and it was like really strange because like I did learn to drive out there. My dad sort of taught me, but everything was imported from America, so it was an American car, but it was a British colony, so all the roads were on our side of the road, right
Oh, wow.
hand drive. Yeah, so you could park
So,
really well, but you couldn't overtake anything.
no. Oh,
So yeah, so even though it was a British colony, um, you know, like you can see, they were still very patriotic, and yeah, you could see a lot of the stuff there.
yeah.
Like, mm,
And this is the thing. So I think no matter where you come from in the world, you know, it's the old saying: you can take the person out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the person. And uh,
yeah, but I think because I was so young, I did take on a lot of stuff as well. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, you know,
what
like
culture? What culture do you reckon out of all the countries that you ended up going to, would you say probably resonated or stuck with you the most?
I'd say I took a bit of the best of all of them, really. So, like, I absolutely like in Malaysia. I love the food there. Absolutely love the food there because you could just go out. I lived in Kuala Lumpur, so you could go out any time of day or night. And when I come back, I used to just really crave rice and chilies. And yeah, and like the other day, I went to a freezy and I found out they sold this Milo ice, which basically kept me alive out there, or Milo, whatever. And I found out they made it. I paid £6 for one of these milkshakes. Yeah,
Wow.
because I absolutely loved it. So yeah, the food was good. And I don't know, just I don't know. I think the biggest thing was just sort of like sort of understanding like everyone, how Malaysia is really is a multicultural country.
Yeah.
So you've got sort of about 45% Malay, which are Muslim, and it is a Muslim country. You've got about 40% Chinese, some Indian, and then just like a little bit of, you know, like as you'd expect, just a few people here and there from everywhere. And yeah, so it is sort of like a place where you can see like different cultures living together.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's not tension? I think so, but the thing is like the country is still a Muslim country,
Okay.
so there is still nepotism towards Muslims. Yeah, the Chinese and the Indians aren't really accepted as like original people.
Persecuted nearly in a sense.
Not so much persecuted, but no other political parties are allowed any airtime at all. So it is pretty much a dictatorship,
Okay.
although it is technically democratic. Um, yeah, democratic because they technically have votes. Because again, that was a British colony, so they've adopted that. Like everyone else is so suppressed. In fact, one of my mum's friends, which is Indian, he did sort of become a minister and did a lot of, you know, protesting and spoke out a lot about the corruption of the Malaysian government. The leader, like, he embezzled billions, put it through a Chinese hedge company, literally took billions out of the country and has left it a poor country. And he spoke out about that, ended up in prison. They sort of like
Your
tried
dad?
to take my mum, one of my mum's Indian friends, yeah. He got thrown in prison. They took all his businesses away, thankfully he managed to like stash some of his money in crypto, I think, but they couldn't get hold of that. But yeah, they just tried to go out and destroy him.
Oh wow! And so obviously your mum didn't. You said your mum didn't work in the Bahamas. So
Yeah,
was
but
there?
then she, sorry, yeah.
So was there any point throughout like your travels where they were employed?
Yeah, so yeah, my dad worked for Bahamas Air first of all. Then got a job with Malaysian Airways, and then my mum went back to teaching because she was a teacher at King's Furlong for quite a while. She also worked at St John's here and did supply work, so she worked at a few in Basingstoke. So she had a bit of time off, and then yeah, she worked out there. But when they split up, my dad came back, and my mum stayed out, and she stayed there for about 11, 12 years in Malaysia. Yeah, and then she came back for a year, decided she didn't like the weather, and then she went to live out in Bahrain.
Right.
But my dad also, he's worked in Holland, Amsterdam. Those were long contracts, but he's worked literally anywhere you can think of. I think it's up to Australia.
Nice.
So
with this broad picture of like this is the reason I wanted to kind of emphasize like your travels, because I want to see how it impacted your political stuff. And yeah, so your dad's obviously been employed in aircraft engineering all across the globe really, and you pretty much lived in quite a few continents now.
yeah, so the other thing I should probably say is that my dad was like Labour and was a union rep, and my mum was a Thatcherite growing up. So I also got a very, very balanced political upbringing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, my dad actually now, both my parents, both of them now sort of like are more reform, Nigel Farage. They've gone. That's the way they've gone now. Even my dad.
Yeah.
So I think it just really shows you the sign of the times.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, this is why. And for people that have travelled the world and experienced cultures, and they're clearly not a biased or racist or prejudiced or discriminatory family. You've been you've been in so many different countries, and I think for a family who've experienced all these other cultures, and to see common sense and say an open border is not the way any of these countries operate, is it? Like,
well, that's a really interesting thing, because I think I did mention it in the text message. At one point my visa ran out because I think I'd left school, as late teens, my mum weren't keeping an eye on it as much, and my visa ran out, and yeah, I got arrested in Malaysia for yeah, and yeah, I got because my visa had run out.
how
And
long
then
how long did you last? How long was the visa expired before they?
so I'd probably gone back, but when you go in you get a 3-month visa. And so then what you'd have to do is you'd go over to Thailand or Singapore or Indonesia. You just got to leave the country, and when you come back in you get another 3 months visa.
Yeah.
And obviously I hadn't left for that amount of time, and yeah, I got arrested. I got a little bit of cardboard with it in English with my rights, and while I was in there it was really funny. It wasn't funny at all, it was like really shocking because I was a young child. But there was a whole sort of chain of women, all like literally all chained together, like feet, hands lifted, and I was like, oh my gosh, what have they done? And it says, oh yeah, we think they're here as prostitutes and they're illegal immigrants and everything. And yeah, but you know, it'd be like if you get caught, if you get stopped by the police, which you get stopped a lot out there, and they have to ask for your ID all the time. So you've got to carry your passport or ID. Same in Spain, we would basically go down, they would photocopy your passport, and you'd get a like little credit card size of your passport to keep on you.
Yeah.
Which wasn't, so you could show them that, and then, you know, if they really wanted to at a later date, try that. But yeah, so you'd got, and once I was held by the police at the side of the road, until one of my mum's friends sort of came out with my passport to let me go. They goes, oh, we don't know, you could be a legal immigrant from like Indonesia or Thailand or somewhere, how would we know? And I'm like, do I really look like that? And they're like, yeah, I know. But mostly what they want is a bribe.
Yeah.
To be fair. But yeah, no, of course they do. I couldn't work out there.
No.
Absolutely couldn't work out there at all. I did get a job at hairdressers, but the cover story was that I was paying them to train me.
Okay. And what about mum? How was what was the process like for your mum getting work out?
So that is all organised by the school.
Okay.
Because it was an English school. There was an English school and American school, which were the two international schools. But yeah, so it's all sort of sponsored by them, really.
Oh wow. So your mum
yeah.
spent time teaching English, did she?
No, she was teaching primary school, and she ended up doing the science curriculum for primary school out there.
Oh, wicked. Nice.
Yeah. And then, like I said, she came back. Then she went to Bahrain for a year, which was another Muslim country, even more Muslim. And she was there for about another 10, 11 years till she retired. So, and it's the same thing. You have to get, so obviously over here we got DBS checks, CRB checks, whatever. And you have to get a letter from the police in the local place where you've lived before to take to the next people to say, you know, you've not got into trouble and you're a good character, etc. So, yeah, but it's really interesting out in Bahrain, they don't pay for electricity at all.
Well, that's provided by the state.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And yeah.
I take it they're a very oil-rich country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I saw it was the Formula One track it was really new at the time. And so I went absolutely nuts. He said it was the first time my face had lit up. I was like, I was in the pit lane, I was touching the track because it wasn't Formula One time. So yeah. And she met an absolutely lovely guy out there. I've got a photo of my mum. This is my mum in Bali. So yeah.
Indonesia.
Yeah. But she absolutely loved Bali, Indonesia. And let me show you a photo. This was kept in her wallet. I found this in her wallet. She kept it in here till the day she died. And that was her boyfriend Saeed, who was Egyptian.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So she is a really lovely, kind, gentle guy. He was lovely. So, my mum, she had an Indian boyfriend out that she left my dad for out in Malaysia. So my mum wasn't racist at all, but she had a lot to say on Islam, to be fair. But she said that from her own experience, when the war kicked off Palestine, she would go, I worked with Palestinians, I know what they're like. So yeah, and living in the countries, she knew what it was like one of her friends, because I think you've probably all heard of Dubai and about how bad the people were treated building that, but it was the same in Bahrain. So they sort of get them over, take their passports, but they weren't even giving them water on site, and that's in 45 degrees, 50 degrees heat. They're working all day. And and my mum's friend actually sort of campaigned for rights out there. And one of the lessons that she did at school, she was talking, because they did the international baccalaureate, and she said she was talking to the kids about racism. And they were going, we're not racist, we've got people from all over here. And she said, well, what about the Indians? And they literally goes, oh, well, they don't count. You know, and it's just really strange how, like, different countries, you know, it's always about how white people can be racist, but there's never anything about how other cultures can be racist. Like, I would walk through the market in Malaysia, and this old Chinese guy would be like, "God, hello," which is like ghost person or devil person, you know. Yeah. I mean, one of my teachers in Malaysia sat down, told all my friends at school that all white girls are sluts, white blokes are okay, but all white girls are sluts. And that was a teacher in my school.
And the
So
thing, what I mean, I find when you're young, you're the most impressionable that you'll ever be. Like, there's things that I was taught that I later on found out to be that turned out to be untrue. I can't think of an example off the top of my head right now, but I know for a fact there's stuff I remember being taught in school that later turned out to be not 100% factual. Yeah, this is what I mean. When you're young, you're the most impressionable that you're ever going to be in your life. And
yeah, it is really tough. And you know, I like get it what it's like for, you know, minorities to be over here, and it is sort of really, it can be really tough, but you kind of have to deal with it because you are in their country.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I don't think there was, I mean, one time we celebrated bonfire night and set off loads of fireworks, and the police come out to us. And we're trying to explain that, you know, no, November the 5th is like one of our things, and they're like, you know, you can't do this. And on Chinese New Year, it was just constant all night with fireworks. So you know, it's you do have to respect, like, and I think that's the thing, it's got to be a mutual thing, you know. I think the British do have like some respect to learn, like when we go on holiday and whatever, but you know, I think that then we can then actually turn around and say, no, actually we want the same respect in our country.
Yeah, and this is the thing, it seems like we've got no backbone. It seems like there's, you know, if you ask me to take your shoes off in your house coming into your house, I'm going to take my shoes off coming in.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's one thing I still do.
Yeah.
I still do all the time, yeah. If I go around someone's house, yeah, that's a big thing out there.
And this is what I mean. It's just, the customs aren't being respected and laws aren't being respected by.
Yeah.
And this leads us on to the concerns that we've currently got for the country. What's your biggest concerns and worries with the way the country is right now?
Okay, so I think a lot of it sort of ties in, really. A lot of them are sort of like interwoven, to be fair, because, you know, one thing can kind of lead to another. I think my biggest concern is probably just this whole real leftist woke thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that ideology is leading to some really, really damaging things. It's leading to suicidal empathy, and just the whole destruction of things. And I think, but also just like the complete mismanagement from our government, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the woke mind virus has a lot to answer for, and it's completely gone to the point of absolute derangement. More
Yeah, and I think, you know, in a lot of it just does not make sense.
No,
it's just not common sense anymore. And I think a lot of, like, you know, I mean, I would say I'm like a reformed left. I would have been like more of a leftist socialist. Like I have been. My mum used to say, like, oh, I don't know what, I've got a brother, a son who's far right and a daughter who's far left, because I was always sort of like on that kind of thing. But it's like you always know the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, like, for example, historically, the dads owned the kids, the mums had no chance, and then they were like, this is so cruel, this is wrong. So it went so far the other way that the women always got the kids and the dads didn't have any rights.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now we've got to kind of do the middle thing. And I think that's what's got to happen here. It's like, you know, yeah, we might have been so far one way at one time, but the more people are trying to push it that way, the more other people are coming up to push it the other way.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to finding that
Mutual
balance that we need, you know.
Yeah, because that's
And
it.
that,
There is extremes on both sides, but the unfortunate thing is, in the last few years, it's been far left violence. There's been no far right violence. You know, the far right that the left think that they're turning up to protest against now in 2026 isn't the far right that they were fighting against.
yeah.
He's an 80s.
So I did a quick Google search on that, and the last death I could find was probably 2017.
Was that Christchurch?
From, it could have been, I can't remember. There was a few on there, but that was like the last one I could sort of see really in this country.
So yeah, in terms of like global, like in terms of terrorism, in terms of the far right, like the last I think of was the New Zealand Christchurch, where the guy
right, yeah.
the mosque and it was like a Call of Duty game, which, you know, that was shocking footage, absolutely shocking.
Yeah, and there was a the mosque here as well. But the thing is in a way I still think, and I know this is kind of victim blaming whatever, but I think that did rise out of the Islamic terrorism, and that wouldn't have happened had we not had that.
Yeah, well,
If that makes sense. That was a reaction, and I'm not excusing that by any means.
No, 100%.
You know, but it just goes to show how one side, you know, and you get an extreme reaction for an extreme event, and
exactly that. But back to our country anyway. So what direction do you think we need to take over the next few years?
I think like because a few years ago I wanted to do like a little campaign and say vote for voting. Really, no matter who you wanted to vote for, you know, you need to vote. And then I think the last election was the first one that I've never voted in, because I was just like, I just can't.
I think a lot of people
agree with any of them.
I think a lot of people were the same because I mean, what was your choices? You had Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer. Like, that's the choice.
Yeah, and I thought it couldn't be any worse than Rishi Sunak, and we were so wrong.
Yeah, and this is why when our breaking point was Southport, when the 5 girls. That was our kind of not light bulb moment, but a kind of straw that broke the camel's back, where we were like, action needs to take place. Was there any specific time or place? Because you were with Stand in the Park Basingstoke, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah, because I was a bit late to all this, to be honest. It was only because I got injured at work, and I got my leg, and I injured my knee, and I couldn't walk, and that's when I kind of got on the internet and really started digging into stuff. And then I found out about, I found out about the WEF, you know, the digital IDs, things like that. And then obviously when I found out what they'd done with the vaccine and looked into their research on that, the fact that America's just had Fauci up in the Senate, the European Parliament got the CEO of Pfizer up and questioned them, and nobody in this country has done that.
No.
But when you actually look into what Pfizer's own trials data was, it's just it's absolutely horrendous. That's where I kind of went into shock really, and realised how little, you know, the people who are governing us actually care. And you know, it doesn't matter whether it's incompetence or whether it's deliberate. Either way, they're not fit to run the country.
Exactly that. So it's fair to say that COVID was your kind of
No, it was a bit after COVID, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was actually digging into that, finding out, and I don't think people are like, oh yeah, it's all open now, we should move on. Like, no, definitely not, because if they can take our rights away like that, they can do that at any point.
And
Um,
this is what I mean. So, like, obviously, as I said, we're not bad lads, but we're quite rebellious in nature. And as I said, you know, there's certain things we didn't adhere to, and you know, it's you just think like, yeah, you really realise who the sheeple are during these times.
yeah,
As I said, like we never put anybody in any danger or anything, but you know, like nobody's telling me I can't hug my granddad or I can't hug my nan.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think like my mum had her 70th birthday during that, and one of the neighbours came out, and we were like, oh no, no, we can't. It's my mum's. But why are you here? Blah blah blah. But you know, we didn't, and we know that she was fine, absolutely fine, even though she was apparently immunocompromised, and you know, she was on cancer treatment. She was absolutely fine. She never got COVID. In
no,
fact, they wouldn't come out to her because
no,
she had a cough, and they said she had COVID, and it wasn't. It was cancer in her lungs. It
yeah.
had gone to her lungs, but they wouldn't come out because they said, "Oh, we think you got COVID." We're like, "She's isolated. She hasn't seen anybody. So how on earth was she supposed to catch that?" Well, we don't know, but it
The amount,
was,
the amount of people I heard that from, that yeah, saying that how the cause of death was attributed to COVID or
mm,
adverse effect from COVID was honestly astonishing, and it's
yeah,
yeah,
the way when you look into how they compiled the figures for that, it was, you know, it's just how did they get away with it?
it's
Just
the thing is we've been conditioned through years of that oblong box in the corner of the room, and now the little rectangular devices in the pocket of our trousers. You know, we're very conditioned to,
yeah,
you know. I imagine if you lived off the grid, you know, and just in a little forest somewhere, like how. I wonder what your perception on life would be like, because you know
yeah,
Stephen
it,
Fry, Stephen Fry, he says being intelligent is a curse because ignorance is bliss. The more you know, the more depressed you are.
yeah. I got shouted at in the chemist. Like this guy was going in. I said, "Oh, what vaccine are you having? What vaccine are you having?" He said, "Flu and COVID." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I wouldn't do that if I was you." And this bloke literally started shouting at me in the chemist, "I'm gonna die if I don't have it." And I was just like, "Well, that's not actually what the data says." And he's like, "Oh," and like literally this bloke just kicked off at me big time. And I wasn't being like confrontational or anything. I just said like, "Oh, I wouldn't if I was you." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah, it absolutely freaked out. And that was only like a couple of years ago. You know, this was way after it. To think there's still people still in that fear. So
and this is what makes me worry. Do you think there's any way of beating this system? Do you know what I mean? If it's that deep rooted, where
yeah,
old people are, you know, still queuing up for a vaccine of a disease that hasn't been relevant in what
yeah,
4 years, 3, 4, 5 years.
yeah. The data shows that you've got to be 86 years old, I think it is. It's definitely in their 80s until you've got an equal chance of dying from COVID as you have from taking the vaccine.
Yeah. So yeah,
And young men are actually the highest at risk from taking the vaccine.
and this
Of
is why I didn't take it, not out of any fear of like what's in it or the conspiracy side. My main arguing point for not taking it for me was I forget what, I'm 32 now, so what was that? 6 years ago, I was what 20.
mm,
Like, I'm 26-year-old man. I'm fit and healthy. I don't need anything to help me live longer. I've got at least 10 in me before before the adverse effects of
yeah,
bad life choices kick in.
unfortunately, I did. And yeah, that's why I was in so much shock, and it was so difficult when I actually, people are like, well, why didn't you look into it before? But you know, you think you should be able to trust
Yeah.
what they're telling you. You should be able to trust that your government's going to do the best. It's only when there's, I started seeing the statistics and the research on it, and then I sort of go, right, I want to look at the raw data here. I was like I was just in shock at what I was seeing. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it, and I took it to protect my step cousin's daughter who'd had a reaction to another vaccine, and they would have told me not to take it if I did. And then I was also sort of running around, caring for my, picking up prescriptions, food for my mum, my dad, my stepmom, her sister, and you get, and then to find out, like when they went to the European Parliament, they put CEO of Pfizer on the stand. Does the vaccine prevent transmission? Well, we don't know. We didn't test it, and we weren't asked to test for that. And yet, that's what they told us. So
this is what I mean, and this we're at the mercy of the highest bidder, it seems. Most money is what we're at the disposal of, and can we beat that? Like even transpire it over into this current immigration situation. Like it's someone's profiting big time from this. And
yeah,
probably our government. It's probably the French government. It's probably all the NGOs and all the
yeah. Well, I
money's
mean, a
going.
lot of it, I believe, it's like these contracts that the government are giving out. That seems to be how they're transferring the wealth from taxpayers to private
Yeah.
entity, corporations. I heard somebody online today say, they don't think they're deliberately trying to take our money, but they are. It's complete mismanagement, and I know sort of most people are for reform, but if you go and look at Rupert Lowe when he's doing the accounts committee and how he's holding the government to account, and when he goes through and says it, I've got real respect for that. That is how our politicians should be conducting themselves in everything.
And I really hope that they can sort out their differences. But now I know certain people that think we doesn't matter what happens in the next election. We're past the point of voting our way out of this. Now I'm a hopeless optimist. I like to think it's not over till the fat lady sings. And
I think that's how we've got to be, really, isn't it? We can't, we've got to keep striving, really.
yeah.
We've got to keep doing whatever we can. Like, we can't change the world, but what we can do is change the little bit that's around us.
And this is why we said about Stand Up Basingstoke being completely, whether we're still flying flags or not, I think a right-leaning group of a few thousand people is, and a safe space for people to come where they might put their opinion in other places, like Spotted Basingstoke or this, and then they're just bombarded by anonymous trolls.
Yeah, I got that. And that, even when I put up and I was going, look, here's flags outside the museum, here's outside the Petronas Towers, here's people in the street, they were just like, no, that's not the same. It's like, well, no, you're absolutely right, it's not the same. The difference is it's their governments, it's their companies that are doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look in our company, I think there's a lot more now. I've seen like a lot more now. We're taking down the pride flags and putting up British flags. I think Brackenwood Windows might have it.
Yeah.
On this straight, but it hasn't been like that.
No.
How on earth is putting your own flag up in your own country racist?
Yeah, and
it's not racist. It's like, so my neighbours, I take their kids to school, they're not from Britain.
No.
Like, she's from America, he's from India, and they both work for the NHS and absolutely love people, no problem with them being here. They're just doing amazingly. But if they were to put up the American flag, would I get the hump? I actually had a chat with their kid, and he was worried about it. He was going, "Oh, I'm worried about the racists and everything." And I was like, "Yeah, look, racism does exist." I said, "But how would you feel about putting up the American flag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course I would. You'd be proud of it, yeah. And then I got him into. I said, look, this is the football, and then he got right into the football.
Yeah. No,
And
but,
he's supporting Argentina, actually, funnily enough, for some
no.
reason. But yeah, you know, and this is how it be. I don't see how you can promote a non-racist culture by being racist towards one particular type of people.
Yeah.
If
So
white people, my daughter's actually said to me, you can't experience racism if you're white. It's like, well, actually, no, I have.
yeah.
So
And so it doesn't matter what counter argument you present to the left, no matter how genuine it is, if it's not their proposed narrative, they refuse to accept it. Like as you requested
yeah,
to a road in Basingstoke for your mum's
yeah,
funeral, and
yeah,
it didn't even last the next morning, and
yeah.
the residents had taken the flags down.
And that was what really sort of got me, because like you can see, like my mum was so non-racist, and she'd lived in other countries. She taught so many other children of all nationality, you know, so many different nationalities, and yet she was happy to be here, and she, you know, she would love that. She thought what you guys were doing was like amazing. She absolutely loved it. When I took her up to the hospital, she would just think it was great, you know. and that was one of the most non-racist people,
Yeah.
you know, so cultured, so well-travelled people you'd ever meet.
And out
And
of all of our work that got taken down, that one hurt the most.
yeah, I was going to have a rant online, but I was just so upset at the time, I just couldn't.
There was genuine sentiment behind that. It was for a future session, and when we confronted the people taking them down, they just wouldn't accept that it was not racist. It was
yeah, and I was really looking forward to being able to like come up and give her that send off, you know.
Yeah, and
on the way.
This is the type of this is the type of vile people you're dealing with. Deranged people that, you know, once they have a narrative in their head, and once they have a foundation of their argument, they can't budge. They whether that foundation is built on sand, you know, they will sit. They'll
Yeah,
they'll go down with that sinking ship.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got, yeah. I mean, a lot of this is, you know, they really. I mean, you've got the Fabian societies who are doing the long march through the institutions. It's been a thing about pushing this through the education system, through media, through work settings, through policies. You know, to actually get that, like, and the young people just don't know any different.
Yeah.
And they think that they're right because it's their paradigm, you know, it's their schema, their way of looking at life.
And it goes back to what you were saying earlier when you said school teacher in one of the countries said that all white women are slappers. You know, if that's taught in a curriculum, or not even a curriculum, but if that's
it was on a school trip. It was on a school trip.
If
they sat down, he sat down with the other girls, all the other girls that were on the school trip, and told them.
So if that's the attitude of the women, that they're passing on to their younger children, you know, you're not going to be able to unteach that.
No, there was a Pakistani girl that me and her had a free lesson. We were the only two, and we used to go to the library. She would not talk to me. She wouldn't have anything to do with me. She was taught it was bad. We were bad. I think the first Gulf War kicked off while we were out there, and we didn't go, but a lot of other expats went in. We got told to look for bombs under our cars, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then a few months later because most of the expats were actually home for summer when the war actually started, so they kind of timed it well. And then in September, like a few people did come over from Kuwait.
Oh wow.
Live with us, yeah. So, you know, but white people can't experience racism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, in the eyes of certain ideology people. Yeah, it's, even though that in itself is a racist concept,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That, you know, you can't be at the hands of oppression because you were oppressed for so long. You know, I'm only 32. I ain't oppressed no one.
Yeah. And I mean, in Malaysia, I mean, our landlady, her ex-husband, he was British English, and he set up the whole university system out in Malaysia, and he was from Henley,
Oh
had a
wow.
massive
Yeah.
mansion in Henley. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, you know, they say, oh, being a colony, you've done this, that, and the other, but actually,
When you
there's a
look,
lot of good out there. Yeah, like when the Queen died, you know, I spoke in church, and I said how in a lot of these countries they had the picture of the Queen up, even though they were now independent countries, they still had so much respect for her.
yeah.
For what they've done, and you can tell the difference between, you know, one of these countries that have been colonized, and then you go, say, like to Thailand, and how dangerous it is in Thailand. And
Yeah,
just,
I've got quite a few. Well, I've got one friend who's out in Thailand. He's out in the mountains, though. I think he's probably away from the troublesome areas.
yeah, I mean, just, yeah, and the attitudes as well, you know. I mean, on the whole, I was like really mostly welcomed out there, and, you know, could talk, like a lot of them would speak in English as their common language between the Chinese and Indians. But it's really weird. You'd have Indians who knew Chinese and Chinese who'd know Malay, and you know what I mean? You'd have to, you couldn't not learn a bit of everything.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, you know, you do actually see, like, and Singapore as well. Singapore's just amazing.
So,
You know,
yeah, if you could get into power tomorrow, and you, how what would be your first port of call?
ooh, um, I think the first thing is literally stop these crossings, you know. And it is a humanitarian. There was I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but it is dangerous for people to come over to do that crossing. So on their behalf as well as ours, there was a woman and a girl that were hard and murdered the other week, which has not hit the thing, on the boat and thrown into the sea on the way over. It is shocking. I I did kind of get some statistics on this, actually. Yeah, so okay, so where is it? Here we go. So I was going to say, like, you know, we're classed. We keep talking about minorities, and we need to change that language. They're not minorities. You might think of them as a minority in this country, but they are not. We are actually a minority, and if you have blue eyes or ginger hair, you are the rarest people. You are the most minority in here. But if you take in the broadest thing, like, white people are 10.5% of the global population, and that's pushing it, including Hispanic. Yeah, and it's like I did some things, and it's like, you take the countries that are most, not obviously, you know, I think probably the majority of our migration is people overstaying, is people coming over legally. That's a different thing. But with regards to this is something I think we can do something about. And a search said the 5 countries, right, that mostly come over on, you know, sort of like, you know, illegal entry and claim asylum. It's Eritrea, Afghanistan, Sudan, Somalia, and Iran. And the combined population of all those countries is 290 million, whereas in UK it's only 70 million. Okay, Now, the combined area of land in all those countries, just those 5, because we know that there's people coming over from China. China's a massive one, but they've stayed. So we're not even taking in how massive China is. Their combined area is 5,541,000 kilometres square. It's 22 times the size of us. We're only 244,000 kilometres square in area. So you can see how much they've got. And the combined density of those countries is 52 people per kilometre square. And in the UK, it's 289 people per square kilometre. So you can see how you're going to try and pack. If we took 90% of all those people, because maybe all those people have got it bad, and that is really bad. I feel for that. But to have this empathy and say, like, have everybody come over here, this is why it's not possible. Because if they did come over here, we worked out that it would then put the whole of the UK into the highest density city, which I think is Monaco. Bear in mind that Monaco, not everyone lives there all year round. It would put it into that higher density, but the whole of England, every square inch of England, which is like, it's just ridiculous. We literally couldn't fit them all in if we wanted to.
Yeah.
So I don't think this humanitarian thing and this empathy thing that we have for them, I think it's rubbish. And I've seen some real poverty out there, and it is terrible. But the reason is the answer isn't coming here, because if you do that, it's just, you're not going to make life better for them, better for anybody.
If you want to help them where they are. But then at the same time, until we're at a stage where our own, like, we have no homeless crisis of our own, we have no housing crisis of our own, we've got no...
but if we do that, we cannot literally fit all these countries. In these figures, I have not included the Ukrainian refugees, Iraqi, anyone else. Okay, that's just those 5 countries. And obviously there's a lot of people come from China, a lot of people come from India.
Yeah.
Pakistan, all these countries, these are not even in these figures.
Yeah, and this we cannot physically help all these people, but
exactly by letting them come into this country, we just can't. So, you know, I then get the argument, but a lot of their countries are uninhabitable because it's desert. So that's just not fair, is it? And like, nobody is going to blame anybody for wanting that better life at all. All right. So if it's it's uninhabitable desert. Okay. So I found like about five examples here of desert greening that use ancient water management techniques and modern agricultural technology. So you've got Israel, the Negev Desert, over 20% of the desert land reclaimed, and now they export tomatoes, olives, dates and other things, and they use drip irrigation. In China, the Chinwag Desert, they use straw checkerboards, make grid patterns across sand dunes, and they prevent shifting sand. They retain the moisture dew, and organic matter builds up and they can plant on it. In Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Desert, they use water pumped up from fossil aquifer water that was trapped down in these layers during the Ice Age. In the UAE, it's turned the coastal desert dunes into hyper-modern, livable urban environments, some of the most modern, advanced ones in the world, through water desalination. In Dubai, they said they planted trees, there's lush parks. And in the Sahara, they've created tree walls and started reclaiming the desert that way. So I don't think by saying, and I wanted to say, right, in Dubai, even though they've got these parks and indoor vertical farms, and that's in temperatures that exceed 45 degrees, sometimes 50 degrees Celsius. You know, so we think we're going through, you know, heat wave and global climate. So I don't see this argument to climate change and to, you know, in uninhabitable area in their country being actually that viable solution, because, you know, they're doing cloud seeding in some countries where they're making it rain. There isn't, it's just not, it just feels like it's more of an excuse and a justification as opposed to something that we couldn't, you know, that humans can't sort out.
Yeah, 100%. It seems to me that it's an issue that should never have got this far. To me, it seems like
No.
there's a solution for it by now, and the people that are saying refugees welcome here, they should be protesting to stop these boats as well for the humanitarian value, like
For them, yeah.
for the humanitarian side. What you think, if these camps that they're staying in are so decrepit and are such, which they are, like I've seen footage from when Raise the Colours were doing that Operation Overlord, and so obviously they're living underneath as flyovers and stuff, and you see the organisation of the NGOs, and you just, that's when I start diving into, right, someone's getting paid for this. It's not just the people smugglers either. This is a well organised.
Well, the French government got paid by our government, didn't they, for this?
Yeah. And
still didn't sort it out. But yeah, so there is a lot of money going somewhere.
If you're a nightclub owner and you've paid a bouncer to keep people, you know, keep certain type, you've said this person's barred, don't let them in. You know what I mean? And then they just keep letting them in. You're going to sack the bouncer, aren't you? You're not going to give them a pay rise and go, look, if I give you more money, will you make sure they don't come? This fella doesn't.
I think this was a classic case of we shouldn't have paid until the job was done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
we've just got mug written on our foreheads, and this is what people.
Yeah.
Like I've got a few people who are like, you know, they're reasonable leftists. Do you know what I mean? They're not hard leftists. You can have a discussion with them. They're not throwing out the word racist, but you know, and yeah, I have the discussion with them all the time, and they're like, yeah, but oh, my mind's just gone completely blank then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. But then, you know, if you look at these camps and, you know, they've got people with guns, they're asking people to swallow drugs to bring over, things like that. You know, they are victims in this.
Every time anyone's ever gone over, there's always footage of something, you know, whether they're fighting or, you know, they're chasing people or like, you know, they're chasing cameramen or, you know, it seems like there's
places that aid workers have had to pull out of because it's so dangerous.
100%.
Did you see the recent thing of the trans person from California who went over to the Netherlands to go and help out in the camps?
No, I never heard about this. No.
Oh, this was quite recently, and Trump got they were saying, oh, I can't live in this country anymore. It's too dangerous for me. I just can't live with Trump. It's terrible. And so they said, I'm going to become a refugee. So they went to the Netherlands, went to a camp and started helping out, and then was like, these people are actually going to kill me. I'm going to have to go back home to America. And it's like, yeah.
It's like there's a woman found in a suitcase in Greece, wasn't there? There was a migrant who converted to Christianity. This woman was a refugee worker or something, and he ended up chopping her up and putting her in a suitcase. And another Rhiannon White, you know, like someone who's gone with the purest of intentions, and you know, thought they were doing the right thing, and unfortunately,
apparently the woman who was waving all the migrants coming in and hugging them when they came across the border in Ceuta in Spain, when all the Moroccans literally, apparently she's disappeared as well. No one knows where she is.
Shocking. And as I said, that people put themselves in these situations, and you've got to, as I said, it's a shame because they go over there with good intentions, but
see, this is where I go back to. It's like a lot of people think that just because they think a certain way, just because they've been brought up a certain way, and you know how they view the world is how everybody else views the world, and actually they just lack a complete capacity to be able to actually put themselves in the mind of other people, realize what influences they've had on what they think, why they think. And to me, that's just as racist, because if you're actually gonna, you know, accept another person and like another person, like at least know what they are. I'm not saying, you know, you should go out and, you know, destroy them and think you're better or what, but at least understand there's these differences.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
and yeah, don't just. And that's a complete difference to say like somebody who's been brought up in this country, second generation, or come from another very westernized country, come in and they're your friends. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but that doesn't mean that every Chinese looking person is going to think like that. You talk to the, you know, grandparents, you might get a different story.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, this is where we're at. So where did you hear about Stand Up Basingstoke? When did you first hear about us as
Oh,
a
my friend Tej.
team?
Yeah, my friend Tej. Yeah, she sort of like she joined from Stand in the Park. Yeah, and I was like, oh, what's this? Yeah.
So I remember being at the top of a lamppost outside of the Crown Plaza, and I remember you coming along and saying hello. I think that was the first time I'd met you, I believe. And
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
you went over
Yeah.
to Luke
To go and see our lovely MP.
Yeah.
And in fact, right, when I was talking mostly to his to the person with him, and he was literally going, he was a PR person saying, oh, it's all about PR. The problem that we have in the Labour Party is about PR. And I was like, seriously, your problem isn't PR. It's not. And they literally genuinely believe that it's not about the actual substance of who they are or what their policies are or, you know, the what they're doing. It's just how we're going to look to people.
All
That
the rich, and you can tell that with Andy Burnham. He spends more time posing for gays
TikTok.
than you know.
Yeah, and what same thing. Like, why on earth are we painting? Does he want to paint all the buses in London yellow? Like, what is the point of that? I'm really missing it. For one, like the London bus is bus is iconic, and it's symbol of London. But is that really worth the money to paint them all yellow?
And this is fucking Labour down to a T. They come up with solutions that nobody's asked for. It's like
Yeah,
it's
but they literally think that that's going to make it better.
It's like people ask him to stop the boats, and he's like, "All right, then one in, one out. Digital ID will stop this." Do you know what I mean? How is digital ID going to stop a boat? How you even have the neck to turn around and try use this as a guise to creep that in the back door as a means of combating?
Well, they're still doing it. They're just doing it in a sneaky way. All kids at school have to have it. Yeah, they're sneaking it in, just the same as they've snuck in like this ideology through schools and everything, that, you know, that the kids are being brought up in this, believe in this, and it's just sort of like the replacement, really.
Yeah, and what if the government is complicit in this, like I believe they are, and what would you reckon their purpose for this would be? Would you reckon it is demographic replacement? Is it important?
I've got no idea, to be honest. I've thought about this a lot, and I've just got no idea. I think it could be the fact that all governments seem to act very short term, and there is a massive benefit to having migration or something. From what I understand, is more people that's temporarily boosting the economy to make their figures look better and perhaps keeping our head above water. Maybe it doesn't go any deeper than that. It does seem to be done on purpose, though. For some reason, it does.
It
I
can't.
don't.
It's got too much of an orchestrated feel to it. You can't be disorganized and allowing that's like saying that you're the government, that you know where the drugs are coming from, you know exactly what they're coming from, but you can't intercept them. It's a very hard concept for me to grasp, how a little stretch of water cannot be policed and these boats can't.
It absolutely can. It absolutely can. I think obviously there was a massive shift, I think, during Blair's time, from sort of like there being actual political parliamentary control to quangle, and it just became, everything became too legal.
Yeah.
Where the courts are now deciding on policy, not the politicians.
Yeah.
And
you're at the discretion of a judge, and most judges are obviously got friends within the government who have probably put them in positions.
Yeah, but the law is, it's like, okay, so, you know, okay, you can say, right, this person's not entitled to asylum, can send them home, but then by the time they've gone through all the legal challenges and the appeals, they've stayed here for so long, and you know it's not working. So therefore, the judge is deciding, okay, you might have a policy that says, you know, you can deport this person, but then the court's overruling that because of the ECHR, and that's happening with a lot of things. So, for example, somebody saying something on social media, you know, we might have freedom of speech, but then a judge can decide if that's overstepped the mark and send that person to prison. So it's being run legally, as opposed to being, and then it's no wonder that people don't feel that their voting is going to have any sort of impact at all. Any, you know, it's just not going to work, because even if the politicians do want to do something, they can't implement it legally. So there has to be like a massive overhaul, really, like a reframing everything. You know, it has to go. I don't know, because the politicians really are supposed to be answering to us, but they're not really answering to us. And if they do, the courts are going to overrule it.
All politicians do is dance around questions. They answer a question without answering a question.
Yeah, and again, they're just too scared to implement themselves in anything.
Yeah, and you can't help people feel that we're past the point of voting our way out of this. But our intention for the next 3 years is going to just try to convince people that this is our last chance, because I really think after this time, you know, if this keeps going the way it's going, our country's going to be past the point.
Yeah, and I think, you know, but it's how do we find, you know, competent people, people of integrity that can actually take those roles? That's another thing, who are willing to step up, because the second you put yourself out there, you're just going to get such a barrier. It's, you know, people lie. People will literally lie about people, and, you know, sort of defame them and do anything to, it's, you know, especially between each other, put someone else down to make them feel bad, you know, but look better. Why would somebody put themselves out there?
This is it, and it takes a special type of person to go against the grain, you know. And I think anybody who feels like, as I said, we've experienced it. We see ourselves as a cannon fodder. We're the people that get called racist, so you don't have to. So the more people see that people try brand us ridiculous insults that don't hold any weight, you know, and they see that it has no effect on us, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable and going, no, well, as I said, they've not got called racist, and they're living perfectly fine. They've still got jobs. They've still got family. They've still got a life to live. You know what I mean?
I think I had to look up what this Overton window term was. I keep saying the Overton window shifting, and what they mean is that it is getting to the point where things that couldn't be talked about before that which habit, that you can actually start mentioning them, and they are becoming more common now for people to be saying. And I think, you know, as a lot of people, you talk about certain things that you never used to be saying, more people agreeing, a lot more people are agreeing, but saying I can't say that, definitely can't say that at work, definitely can't say that in front of certain people, I won't put that online. And that is a bit that I think there'll be so many more people that if they didn't fear that retribution, would put things up on more line, would come up and you know, see you, would hang flags up, you know, would come and hang flags up, or, you know, point out glaringly obvious biological facts. It's, you know, but it is that fear of retribution.
Yeah.
You know, just like I had in The Chemist.
Yeah.
You know, well, here's the facts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. It's like, whoa.
So obviously, because we're not doing flags anymore, as I said, we felt
Yeah.
we were doing more harm hanging on to it than, you know, than we were to just move on to our next endeavours. So
Did Luke Murphy actually get back to you? Because he had something to say about you in the Gazette.
yeah, no, as I said, I've
Did he actually contact you?
no, he's never contacted us.
No.
Never
But he
contacted.
said, I mean, they did say, oh, we'll look into doing it. And I think, okay, yeah, fine. Let's change the Love Basingstoke sign from pink and blue to, you know, red and white, or Union Jack colours. Do
Yeah.
LB, Love Basingstoke, Love Britain.
100%. And so
I think
what direction would you like to see this group take? What could we do to further our cause? And obviously we started doing this as a way of engaging with people that may like to have a lot to say but no way of saying it.
I think you should probably go out, set up a table in town during busy times, obviously get permission, and then just do things, just get people to sign up for voting.
Yeah.
You know, register to vote.
Yeah.
And
agree.
sit there, explain to people, you know, what could happen. Might not, but
yeah, 100%. I do agree that I've definitely, in terms of trying to get people at least on board the same ship towards the next general election, is definitely our main ambition. And obviously the table is definitely something we'll look at. And we're just looking to explore any avenue we can.
Yeah.
Just to do what we can to try save Basingstoke, because we can still be saved. We're not past the point of no return yet, especially not in this town.
No, and it's a shame, because you do see some other areas are you know, are really struggling.
Pompey,
but I think
Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've been up to London quite a lot, and yeah, a few other areas it's pretty tough. But I think, you know, one of the things that, you know, we really have to do is just sort of just keep making sure we're doing the right thing. You know, it's tough. It's like, you know, when people are being racist towards us, is not show that racism back. Just say, instead of say, you know, just be like, no, it's because I held up a sign during Black Lives Matter going like, all lives matter. We might be talking about black people now, and then at a minute it's like all lives matter, but now we're having to discuss the white people. It's like white lives matter. It's I think it's really saying, you know, all lives matter. You know, being that doing thing. Like if you're getting this anger and this hatred towards you, it's just not rise to that. It's tough not to match it with the same. But just being like, you know, like on the, you know, on the Tommy Robinson's march, when, you know, it was like more than twice as many of the counter protesters were arrested than on the Tommy march, and those were specific people. They weren't like the general people. And you know, just I think yeah, we've just got to sort of stand up, like just actually live the values that we believe in.
100%.
British values, that they are, you know, non-racist value. We've always been non-racist. They are, you know, fairness is a massive thing. The rule of law, these things are thing, and just, you know, just try and live up to these things. Forgiveness as well is another one. You know, it not, you know, how it's not really in our culture to seek that retribution.
No.
But at the same time, be very, very aware that that isn't how everybody is.
No.
So, you know, defending yourself and protecting yourself is not the same as attacking.
No. No, exactly that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll still be here. We'll still be here chugging away. As I said, it won't be doing flags, but it'll be really trying to make a difference in our town. As I said, that's why we've been doing a lot lately, trying to endorse local businesses, and you know, even sharing a little secrets. Like yesterday, we done a post on the Holy Ghost, or the day before, we done a post on the Holy Ghost regarding Mrs. Blunden, who was buried alive twice, and the Burberry stone. And a lot of people were like, "Thank you for posting this. I was unaware of the history here." And so, as I said, we're looking to make a real difference locally, and not
There's some amazing history. Like if you look into Burberry, it says Burberry London. Thomas Burberry owned the shrubbery at the end of my mum's road.
That's what I mean. Like, so we'll still be a community group within Basingstoke. But yeah, as I said, we will be sticking to our roots. As I said, we'll still be attending protests. The ones, as I said, I think we're attending peer to peer in Bournemouth on the 15th of August. So yeah, we'll still be doing our original bits and bobs. It's just all minus the flags at the minute, which is a shame.
Well, it's not the be all and end all, is it? I think, you know, like I said, we can't really change the world, but we can change the little bit of the world that's around us. And you know, there's a lot there. Basingstoke, sort of like, so for example, in Andover, there's no food hubs, and yet there's one in a different place every week. I think Basingstoke has got like a real sort of culture of really helping out and doing things for our community, so it's a good place to be doing it.
Yeah, 100%. But as I said, I think we'll probably wrap up there, Rosalie, because my battery's nearly dead, and I think we've covered a lot today between your upbringing, how that was relevant, into your perspective on why the current situation isn't okay. You know, for such a person with such a diverse upbringing in so many different cultures and countries, and you've gone to these places and you've assimilated and you've respected, and you've even took shots when needed. You know, like you've taken so yeah, fair play to you. I think you've done really well in this, in the life.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
My first interview like this, so it's a bit nervous.
I'm still finding my feet as well, so it's just a way of, like, we've been doing this a year now. And you know, there's, like, when I had the interview with the Gazette, they wanted me to speak on everybody's behalf, and I said, you need to speak to the actual people. Like, I can only speak on my own.
Yeah, I think one of the things like about that is, I think, really start to ask people questions. So when they put forward like these point of views, and like I was in so I know you want to wrap up, but so I didn't mean to say this, give an example. I was in a charity shop buying England flag for the car for the football, and then she started saying to me like, this is, I know it's for the football, but you know, it's just when they put the flags up for the other reasons. So I was like, well, what reason's that then? Oh, you know, no, to be proud of bitches. And I was like, well, what's wrong with that then? And she just backtracks so much. Once you ask people to explain it, and they've actually got to explain what they're doing, you know, you're not telling them anything, you're not forcing your opinion on them, but just get them to question what they're doing. She's going, oh no, it is okay. She's going, and she totally backtracked without me saying anything. So I think we really need to sort of start doing that, like with people, like questioning them, you know, going, why do you think that? What's the reason for that?
Their argument holds no weight, and they prove and they prove themselves time and again with the Oxfordshire, where they stand up to racism, started a petition to stop the refugees landing on their doorstep. So these type of people you're arguing with, you're never going to win. They're always going to have their preconceived opinion that they're not going to be able to change for love nor money. They've got their mind made up, and they're not willing to change it no matter what facts and underline. They think their comfort zone should be enforced on everybody. And
so that's why you just start questioning them and hope that they start questioning themselves and having to answer it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Rosalie, thank you very much, and
no problem.
tune in for God knows who we're going to have on here next Wednesday.
All right, take care. Take it easy.
Thank you very much, Rosalie. See you later. Bye.
Bye.